Good evening, everyone. It's hard to believe it's August 19th already. We have a very, very, very important topic tonight, immune. And I have to share with you, doTERRA did not know, and I did not know. I believe it was last December when I met with Dr. Courtney and Dr. Shane to put these on the books, that this special was going to be now and perfect timing as we know of the specials that are out there. So we want to have you aware of all of that. Next week, Dr. Laura Ritchie, Pelvic Floor 101, Make It Fun. And then feel free to take a picture. There is a list of our September classes. And Christy's a new presenter, excellent. She's going to be talking about hidden toxins impacting our pets. And then Dr. Shane, allergies and asthma. Again, great timing with fall coming. And then Dr. Jeff Essen, natural ways to manage blood pressure and cholesterol. And then we've got a really good topic, mood biochemistry, brain foundations. She's going to also be talking about PTSD. So we've got a real heavy month in September, a lot of experts, and no class on the 23rd due to convention. Please register. This next class is going to be on October 6th from 4:30 to 8:30 here in Eau Claire. If you're local, it's only $10 for 4 great hours of education. And so if you're within an hour and a half, I would highly recommend that anybody can come, but for sure, those of you that are within that distance. And hope everybody can mark their calendar. This is going to be a corporate account. We did have to interview for this, and we are excited. As far as I know right now, 4 people from corporate are coming. At the Phoenix, where we had our June 17th event, which was a regional event, and now this one is a corporate, very, very small fee, and includes a full meal and just a whole lot of education. There's going to be 2 segments. Those that come in the early afternoon, it's going to be different than evening. So you might want to plan on spending the day with us, and there's just a whole lot happening for sure that day. August special, Still Harvest Spice is limited time, so make sure you get those. Those are always sold out. And the castor oil pack. What a great way to remove toxins and keep us all healthy and removing those things from us. So please reach out and get questions in regards to that. And then this is going to run through the 28th, providing quantities last. And I can't say enough. I definitely have my favorites. There really isn't anything much that I don't use on here. I do a few oils from the kids kit, but everything in here, especially the On Guard Plus foaming hand soap, you name it, spray, sanitizing mist. And I will go through as many as we can have here. I don't know if there's a limit. I'm going to have to check. Maybe Kill will put in the chat, because I go through about a bottle of On Guard a month from Labor Day till after Easter, thereabouts. This is, we got one more week for the Masters Club class. So if whoever invited you has a code, please reach out to them. This does not benefit me whatsoever. It benefits anybody that does enroll. And I can give you my Master Club code. And we get, like I said, no recognition. More importantly, that the folks get some great things for enrolling. And I'm going to stop my share. It looks like Kayla was able to load, and I'm going to turn this over to not only a good friend, Dr. Shane. I will tell you guys, if you haven't met him, he's incredibly knowledgeable. He's so committed to people's health and wellness, and it's just amazing and a privilege to have him on. Without further ado, Dr. Shane.
Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate it. We've been, I've been working with Sandy for long time now, years. So, but it's good to see. I see a lot of familiar faces on here. So good to see you guys. For all of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Shane. So my wife and I own a health restoration clinic. So we're chiropractors, but also do a lot of different testing and things like that, which you'll see. But we own a clinic in Osseo, Wisconsin. So, but we help people all over the country. What's amazing with technology today is we're able to see patients in different families and things like that virtually. So we can help really wherever you are, we can help. But I agree with Sandy. I think this is a huge topic that we're dealing with here with kids going back to school. Whitehall, one of the local schools here, they just started today. So today was their first day. Some other ones around the area start next week. So we're in school mode, okay? So we're getting there. And it's interesting because this is the time of year when kids go back to school. They've been away from a bunch of other kids. Those other kids picked up some germs and different things like that. And now they go back into school and everything. Everybody just shares everything, right? So this is that time of year where kids do start to get sick and different things like that just because they're bombarded with all these new things that they're being exposed to. And I'll be honest, I think last year was probably one of the worst years I've seen with kids getting sick and things like that. First, right when kids went back to school, but then I also had a big wave right after the holidays. Okay. So last year was a very sick year all around. So I think this is something that we're preaching in our office too. Just what can you do? Come get adjusted. Here's the other things that you can do. Let's just try to keep these kids as strong and as healthy as possible going into the school year. And that's going to be their best chance from no matter what they get exposed to. Okay, so we're going to be talking about quite a few of those things today. Um, and so where we are now, right? And there's a few different statistics on here. Not all of them directly correlate to that immune system, but I think they're big. Since the pandemic, testing scores have fell to nearly every state. 3.3 million U.S. children in school have ADHD. 1 in 5 children currently or have had a serious debilitating mental illness. More than 40% of school-age children have a chronic illness. 18% of kids 0 to 11 years old are on a medication, 27% for the 12 to 19 range. That's a quarter. A quarter of them are on medications. Girls are starting puberty earlier and earlier. Boys are looking more like girls. Children born in 2000 or later have an estimated 11 to 20-year decrease in lifespan. Okay. So yes, we're talking about immune system, but the big part about immune system is just overall health, right? your mental health your mental health plays into these things, your gut health plays into these things. So many things plays into your overall health and your overall immune system. I mean, even sleep, all these different things plays into it. And when one starts to fall short, now you're more susceptible. Okay. So this is obviously, it's becoming a big issue and we see a lot of kids and kids are getting more and more sick. I mean, 40% have a chronic illness. Chronic means long standing. They're kids. They literally haven't even been around long enough to really have a chronic disease yet. That's what we're still dealing with, right? So this has become an issue, okay? And then really, it's not an official state of emergency, but it more or less kind of is, right? We have so many kids, again, more statistics, 1 in 2 with chronic illness, 1 in 3 are overweight, learning disabilities, liver disease, asthma, ADHD, food allergies, autism. And again, none of these say immune system, but you have a weakened liver, that's going to affect your body's ability to detox and do other things, which is going to affect your immune system, which is going to and affect your overall health and wellness and your ability to stay healthy, right? All of these things are. So all these things matter. And what's interesting too is when we're seeing with a lot of these kids, especially younger, um, we're not seeing our developmental milestones being met. And so recently they've actually said, well, as of 2022, as of 2022, they just changed the goalpost. They said, well, kids aren't meeting it. That's becoming more and more common. So now we're just going to change the milestones, right? That's not the right way to look at it. It's like they keep changing the blood pressure right now, right? They're just saying, well, we still have these issues. We're just going to keep changing the number lower and lower, right? That doesn't work. So literally walking, they change it from 12 months to 18 months. Talking changes from 12 months to 15 months. right? So they're just keep moving it back and saying, well, we'll just change the normal now, rather than saying, well, what's the real issue? What's the underlying cause of these things so that we can get it back up to that 12-month mark, right, for both of those. So we're not getting to that root of the issue. So here's a perfect example. This is a boy that came into our clinics. He was 6 years old, diagnosed with ADHD. He had eczema and he had constipation issues. Okay. So we ended up taking an x-ray on him, and you can see just all these gas bubbles and inflammation and stool. And really, you can just see how backed up he is. It shouldn't look like that, right? So and a lot of us probably know on here that our gut is our foundation, but a huge part of our immune system resides in our gut. Okay. It's our first line of defense, right? Anything we consume, we eat, we drink goes to the gut. And then when it's in the gut, now it gets absorbed into the body. So this is really that first line of defense with anything that we're really being introduced to when we consume it, okay? And we can just see there's tons of inflammation, tons of gas and bloating and different things like that going on, okay? So we worked with him, we got him adjusted, we did some different testing, did some different work on him with what we found, and then this was the same kid just about 6 months later, okay? And you can see how much of a difference that is, right? Couple little things, but that's normal, right? Now you can really see the difference of how bad his gut really is with that. But the thing is once we got it taken care of, he didn't really have ADHD anymore. Okay. He didn't have his skin rashes anymore. He didn't have any constipation problems anymore. So that's where I look at him and said, do you really have ADHD? Or was your gut just so messed up that you didn't have the appropriate digestion? You could absorb all your vitamins and minerals, right? And then a lot of your brain hormones are made in the gut. So those weren't being made appropriately. So now his brain wasn't functioning 100%. He also didn't feel good, right? None of us are really want to pay attention and do these different things when we just don't feel good, right? And we have a tummy ache. It's hard to do that. So did he really have ADHD? Or was there a major underlying gut issue that threw off the entire system? And once we got it cleaned up, things got better, right? But what did we have to do? Well, we saw when we tested him, we saw that he had food allergies. Okay. He had some really severe ones. So these top ones are IgE. So that's like anaphylactic, like the peanuts and eggs and different things like that. He had some sensitivities and intolerances. So he had other foods, but all these foods are pouring fuel on the fire, right? They're causing that inflammation. There's a huge connection from the gut to the brain too. So they were just really pouring fuel on the fire with his system and throwing that system off again, right? And we did a stool test on him. So we saw he had some different infections in his gut. A lot of his good bacteria was low, right? We look at lactobacillus on here, right? That's a main one that we're finding in our probiotic, right? So we can just see, oh, I also had parasites in there. So we can just see so many different things going on, right? A medication, right? An ADHD medication isn't going to take care of the parasites, isn't going to rebuild his gut, isn't going to take care of these infections, isn't going to get rid of the foods, right? And again, this is another patient, right? So this is a 15-year-old boy who's on the autism spectrum. Okay, also ADHD, also anger outburst, non-vocal, right? And so again, so many different things kind of going on here. And again, this relates to that immune system because that immune system was dealing with heavy metals. Okay, we tested him and we saw some heavy metals in his system, other ones, right? Mercury. See, this is where it's confusing because a lot of times they say, well, technically this test is in the green. What's the right amount of mercury in our body? Zero, right? Zero. You also got to remember he was 15, but he was still a smaller kid. Okay, so even compared to body size, he still had higher levels and he had some other ones that were moving up into the yellow. And if you look at his GI test, it was just a mess. Okay, we had parasites, we had other infections, just completely all thrown off. And he was having these. And again, this is part of our immune system. Our immune system is designed to fight infections. Our immune system deals and creates inflammation. our immune system deals with heavy metals. So if we have things that are just bombarding our immune system, now our immune system is weak and now we're susceptible to the cold, the flu, the next thing that's coming through because it's been preoccupied with heavy metals and infections and parasites for how long, right? So again, you got to get to the root of the issue and start to address it from there. Again, just another example of a girl dealing with mold toxicity, okay? So mold can be a huge one, and a mold can affect all of our different parts of our body. And look at immunotoxicity. So huge trigger and stress to our immune system, and all three of these types trigger that immune system. But what can you also see? Affects the reproductive system, affects the liver, GI, again, every part of that body. Again, this is where she's going to be very susceptible. And I see a lot of people for mold. And when we are dealing with toxic molds, these are the people that get sick a lot. They get sick easily. They stay sick longer than everybody else because again, their body is just dealing with mold day in and day out. And now again, the cold, the flu, these little bugs, these little things come in and the immune system is so preoccupied and so bombarded for a while by this mold that the next thing that comes in just gets them. And it has a hard time recovering quicker than most people. Okay. So, and this is where it really comes in. When we see a human, right, we have what's called homeostasis. This is where we want to sit. This is a healthy individual when we're sitting in homeostasis. And then our body, if we get exposed to something, let's say it's mold or one of those things, right, some sort of infection or a cold or a flu, we get into that adaptive physiology. So now our body adapts to the current situation. It adapts to handle it and take care of it, right? Let's say we do get a flu. Okay, some things happen. Our immune system kicks in, it ramps up, sends them out to kill the flu, and then it kills it, and then we move back to homeostasis. But the issue is if we don't take care of that issue, the body continues to try to adapt and try to adapt. Once it no longer can adapt, that's when we become diseased, okay, or diseased, right? So when our body can no longer adapt to the stressors and the things that it's putting us through or we're exposing it to, that's when we start to have these bigger issues. And everything is connected, okay? I like to call this our switch swatch principle. Our nervous system is at the middle of it. Our brain, our spine, our nerves that come out, our brain communicates with every single organ on our body, including our immune system, right? Right there at the bottom, through our nervous system, through our brain. But they're all connected, right? It's connected to our GI system. It's connected to our skin. It's connected to our circulatory system, our respiratory system, all these different things. When one of these things gets off, it affects the rest of them, okay? This is where adjustments are really important, right? But when we look at this, this is what we're seeing, right? Okay, well, we can have stress from new friends, right? Relationships, food allergies, right? We're at a new school, so there's stress there. There's sports that are demanding. We go to school all day, and now we go to sports, and we have practice every day of the week and games every day, and it's hot outside, and they're not drinking enough water really, and they're drinking Gatorade, which is not good for them, and everything like that. Then we also, on top of that, we have homework, and if they're getting older, okay, well now we get the fun hormone changes in there, and our body is changing, right? There's so many things that can start to affect these different systems, okay, and cause stress on the body and start to weaken it in those different areas. So addressing all these different areas are so important. Okay, and so what changes when the kids go back to school? Sugar consumption tends to increase. What I see a lot of times is now mornings are a little more rushed. We might not be choosing the best foods. We get sugary cereals and Pop-Tarts and pastries, and you load these kids up with sugar, and then you send them to school and tell them to sit still and pay attention. That doesn't make sense, right? We know sugar makes them more hyperactive. Sugar just puts fuel to their brain. So I see this so often where kids, especially younger kids, let's say a little boy, seven or eight, he's labeled the troublemaker in class, but Well, mom and dad don't know any better, but they feed him a bunch of sugar, throw him into a classroom, and expect him to sit there for 6 hours. One, he's just a boy and he wants to play. Two, his body and his brain is on fire from all the sugar and he's hyper and the energy's got to go somewhere, right? Oops. Sorry, we have less movement and more sitting now. We typically have less sunlight because we're inside. There's more screen time, especially today more than ever. Just more and more technology. All the kids have some sort of iPad or laptop or something like that. They are starting to implement getting rid of cell phones, but that's so-so. New mental and social stresses. We tend to sleep less downtime. So a lot of these things, again, start to stress out that body. Again, what causes those stress? And we like to call these the three traumas. Um, right? Trauma, the three T's, traumas, toxins, and thoughts. These are the three types of stresses that impact the body and impact our immune system. Trauma being a physical stress, so poor posture, sitting at a desk all day, text neck, leaning forward. I see this all the time, especially in kids today because they don't have good posture. They're looking straight down, right, at their lap, at their phone, at their laptops, concussions, accidents, sports. We have tons of toxins, again, pesticides, herbicides, sugars, food dyes, food allergies, infections, parasites, heavy metals, mold. And then we have the stinking thinking thoughts, right? And that's especially through middle school, high school. You start to get your clicks and I remember it's just a lot of judgment and things like that, right? Peer pressure. And especially today with social media and all these influencers and different things like that. So a lot of that stuff impacts our body overall and again, impacts our immune system. So this is what I like to call the bucket theory. Okay, we all have a bucket. We all have stressors to deal with throughout the day, and those stressors fill up our bucket, right? When our bucket starts to overflow, that's when we have problems, right? So I would my whenever I'm working with somebody, my goal is how do we start to drain that bucket, right? And there's two ways to do that. We either remove some of the things that are filling the bucket and or we start to take things or add things into our life that can also start to drain the bucket, okay? Right, but a lot of different things. There's tests, screen time, sports, all these different things, right, that we've been talking about start to fill up that bucket. So addressing it in all those different areas. The more full it is, the weaker your body is, the weaker your immune system, and the more susceptible that you are. Big thing too is backpack checklist. This is right from the American Chiropractic Association. If you guys don't check your backpacks, I think it's getting better nowadays, but I know when the pandemic first started, they couldn't even go to their lockers. And these kids' backpacks were like 40, 50 pounds. Definitely not as bad today, but right? We want to look at these things. We want to have a good backpack because it's going to affect their posture. It's going to affect them physically with those traumas and different things like that. Making sure it's not too heavy, making sure they're wearing both straps, right? Making sure it's a good backpack. And then text neck is a really big thing. I see this more and more and more, especially with the kids today. When the kids come in, that's one of the first things I talk to them about. I literally tell them, I have a mirror. I say, look in the mirror right now. And they're usually just all hunched over in their heads like this. And I literally take them and I sit them up straight. And they're like, oh, and they're like, that feels weird. I'm like, yeah, that's how you should be sitting. But then their neck hurts and they get headaches and different things like that. And so this is a huge thing to try to start to work on. One, adjustments are a big part of this, but just working on our overall posture. And you can see sitting like this is the hardest, right? You want to sit back, you want to sit up, but most kids are sitting like this first picture. Same thing with their posture on your phone, right? All these kids are looking straight down versus bringing the phone up in front of them. And same thing when they're sitting. So it makes a big impact when you start to not have good posture. Then that affects your nervous system, impacts your nervous system, impacts your musculoskeletal system, which then in turn affects the rest of the body and your immune system. So again, this is where adjustments come in hand. In our clinic, we see tons of kids. We have a family night. So last night, I think we had think it was 22 kids there at the end of the night. Just full families, literally like, yep, we need an adjustment before we go back to school. School starts tomorrow. Boom, we just got all of them in. So literally mom and 4 kids, here we go, right? And so we're getting them adjusted to make sure their bodies are functioning properly, that nervous system is functioning properly. They're set to go as best as possible for that school coming up. So doing that, okay. Big part of it too is when we look at the school, we look at maybe some of the older kids with sports and things like that. Chiropractic care has a big impact on even performance in sports, right? But not that is if you're performing well, right? But if you're on the opposite end, if you're getting sick and you're doing things like that, right? You're not feeling up to par, you're not going to play as well. And you're going to miss days. You can miss days of school. You can miss too many days of school. You can miss your sporting events, right? If you're not doing these different things. So just even as simple as getting adjusted can make a big, big difference. Then on the toxicity side of things, avoiding toxins that are going to be one, hormone disruptors, but are going to affect your mental state, affect your brain, give you brain fog, just not function as well, right? Pesticides and herbicides. So biggest thing here is like organic foods and things like that. Birth control. So the ladies that are, right, are girls that are getting into high school and different things like that. And so many girls today, if they have acne or have something like that, so many are put on birth control for non-birth control reasons, right? To not necessarily not having a baby, but it's hormone irregularities, bad cycles, acne, cyclic migraines, all these different things, and they're getting put on birth control. But a birth control affects your immune system. It doesn't balance your hormones. It's literally an endocrine disruptor. That's what class it is in, which is a hormone system disruptor. Okay, so birth control. We have fire retardants. It is pretty mandatory, especially on younger kids, that like flame retardants are in their clothes and different things like that, just for safety reasons. So a big thing there is right, is trying to eliminate as many toxins because in some, you can't necessarily get around that, right? But if you have that and you have everything else, that's a lot. That's filling up your bucket. Phthalates in your products like your shampoos, conditioners, BPAs and plastics. So many kids have plastic water bottles. They're drinking out of plastic. They bring their lunch. If they bring a lunch, it's in plastic, right? Tupperware. Get rid of the plastic. It's bad for you. Do what you can to have stainless steel, have glass, have as little plastic as you can. Perchlorates are another one. Arsenic is a big one. So arsenic can affect the immune system, affect that. It's found in a lot of foods like rice. Rice is one of the number one things that we start to see it. Non-stick cookware, that non-stick Teflon is also toxic for you. Is it nice to cook on? It is, but it is also toxic, okay? Get a cast iron. Cast irons are amazing, okay? Mercury is a big one, right? So we know about that, dioxin. So again, there's a lot of toxins out there that start to affect our bodies. Here's the big one. If you guys need to screenshot this, here's what is probably one of the bigger impacts on these kids, okay, is the food. One, this stuff is at school, right? Gatorade is in the vending machines. Some of these other things are, maybe there's not drumsticks, right? But there's other junk in these vending machines that they're exposed to that they can go and get for breakfast. And there's so much bad stuff in there, right? There's hydrogenated oils, which are bad, canola oil, vegetable oil, palm oil, peanut oil, just seed oils that are very inflammatory. MSG is in these things, also not good. It's very hard on the brain. High fructose corn syrup, agave syrup, enriched bleach, white sugar, and flour. Okay, so again, more sugar, but then that bad flour for you. Other processed sugars, aspartame, which is a artificial sweetener, not good, linked to kidney diseases, linked to cancer, linked to so many different things. Splenda, same thing. Soy in smaller amounts, okay. but especially when we are looking at like certain going like vegetarian or vegan is becoming more of a thing. A lot more people are not just doing it because they don't like meat. It's kind of like a almost like a fad type thing that we start to see. And okay, one friend is on it, and other friends say, "Ooh, that's cool." And so they start to eat a lot more soy. Soy is like a phytoestrogen. So if we over consume it, it can start to affect some of our hormones. Artificial flavors and colors, so many different things that like red 40, yellow 5, different things like that can go. There was a thing passed by RFK and Trump to eliminate these food dyes from certain foods. They have to give a certain amount of time, but that's part of it. Gluten-containing food and processed grains, wheat, barley, rye, sorghum, just hard on these kids. And we can see that, right? I'm not just making this stuff up. Synthetic dyes in popular kids linked to hyperactivity and learning disorders. Artificial sweeteners used more products linked to serious health problems, right? Liver problems, obesity, leukemia, right? So we're not just making this stuff up. Food additives and hyperactivity, right? So those food additives like the colors and the dyes and the artificial sweeteners. So all those different things. Just for example, right, I talked about the Gatorade, right? Water and sugar. Sugar is the second ingredient, meaning it's more sugar than anything else. Dextrose, which is a bad sugar, modified cornstarch, red 40, glycerol ester, which is another thing, caramel color, which is another artificial sweetener, monopotassium phosphate, which is going to be um, right, a preservative kind of thing, not good, just not good for us. And again, there's more, but same thing is happening there. When you look at a Nutri-Grain bar, the first 7 ingredients are all sugar. So it's basically just a big sugar bomb, but they label it as a healthy treat. Okay. So again, just more examples, right? But this is the normal. And so I got to point this out. And just because it says low fat, right, doesn't mean, okay, 10 vitamins and minerals, good source of calcium. You're not, you're not getting a nutritious meal when you eat Eggo waffles, right? They're taking whatever they possibly can and throwing it on the box to try to convince you that, hey, I'm getting something good out of it, right? There's nothing nutritious about an Eggo waffle, okay? Again, there's raspberries on the front, but it's going to be all fake stuff, okay? Um, right? And what we showed here is this is a very typical of like a good kind of breakfast and different thing, not breakfast, but good meal plan for some of these kids. What can they do, right? They're bringing fresh fruit, they're bringing green beans, mashed potatoes, okay, peaches, corn, fiesta, right? They're bringing chicken with them to lunch with more fresh fruit and broccoli, all these different things rather than eating a school lunch, which is going to be pizza and cheeseburgers and probably not that great of stuff. Yes, we have some good cooks in the school. I'm not saying that's everywhere, um, but majority of the time they're not getting that great of food. Okay. And when we look at different milks and things like that, um, just because there's less fat doesn't mean that's good. They're usually when like skim milk or low fat, when it says things like that, they usually take out the good fat because the good fat is the most expensive. Okay. So they leave the cheaper stuff in there because that makes the product cheaper. So really, even if like you are getting something like milk, get whole milk. You want the good fat in there. Okay, you do. So don't let them fool you. The average school lunch is about 126 grams of sugar. 126. That's a lot. And that's just lunch. Okay. So we got to watch out for that, guys. Um, Sugar, the immune system. So what does the body process as sugar? Processed sugars, bleached or unbleached flour, grains. So this is where carbohydrates are also sugar. They're just in a different form, but once your body breaks them down, they turn into sugar. Dairy has a lot of sugar. Dairy is just a bunch of fat and sugar and a little bit of protein in there. Fruit is sugar, but again, fruit in its whole form isn't bad if they're, as long as they're not eating all this other stuff, corn, alcohol. Hopefully a lot of our kids aren't consuming alcohol. You never know nowadays, but 75 grams of sugar can suppress the immune system by 40 to 50% for up to 5 hours. 40 to 50% for up to 5 hours. And that's 75 grams. They had 126 at lunch. And how much did they have at breakfast? So now, majority of the time, these kids are consuming sugar like this every meal, and now their immune system is constantly suppressed. Okay, constantly suppressed. Here's a great app. It's called the Yucca or the Yucca app. You can download it on your phone. You can scan different products, scan different things, and it's literally going to tell you the stats. It's going to give you a score. Lucky Charms get a 5, which is really bad, right? 0 is the worst, but that has a 5, and it tells you, well, there's a bunch of sugar, there's a bunch of additives, high on calories, high on sodium, right? So it'll literally tell you what can be good or bad. I always say I dare you to go into the kitchen and start to scan stuff, okay? But this is a very easy app. You just boom, scan the barcode. It'll tell you good, bad, ugly. Here's where I always tell people to start, because when it comes to toxins, when it comes to pesticides, herbicides, different things like that, we have what's called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen, okay? And what this is representing is the dirty dozen are the dozen foods, natural produce that is sprayed the most heavily with pesticides and herbicides. Meaning out of these ones on the right, if you're going to get something organic, these are the ones to get organic, okay? Strawberries and spinach are always number 1 and 2 on the list. Strawberries are usually always number 1 every single year, okay? Um, and it was interesting because I saw a study a while back that they literally took strawberries, they juiced them, and they said the concentration of the pesticides inside the juice was strong enough to spray back onto the field. Okay, because they're sprayed multiple times throughout the year and it just absorbs it and absorbs it. Okay, so out of anything, these dozen get organic. Okay, because they're gonna have poison on them if they don't. These other 15, I would say if you can afford it, get organic. Okay. But if we can't necessarily afford it, prioritize these dozen, and these other 15 are the cleanest ones. These are the cleanest ones on the list. Okay. Avocados are number 1. So are avocados mandatory to get organic? No. If they're there and they look good, I get them organic, but I'm also not afraid to say, hey, these don't look very good. They don't have organic ones. I'm going to get a normal one, okay? Because they're number 1, meaning they're the cleanest on that list, okay? So again, clean 15, dirty dozen. And pack your own lunch, right? Here's a really simple kind of way. Again, you can take a screenshot or take a picture of this of what should just a lunch look like, right? Have a good protein in there as your main dish, have some fruits in there, have some good vegetables in there, and then we can do a healthy treat or a healthy snack, right? Some trail mix, a good healthy granola bar. You can make your own granola bars, some popcorn, some peanut butter and dipping fruit and things like that, right? But protein, vegetables, some good healthy fruit, and then again, not a ton, but you can give them a little treat there too, as long as it's good, okay? So good way to kind of help pack a lunch and keep them under control. Mental stress and loneliness in the immune system, right? So the mental side of things, this is a huge impact. The mental stress drastically affects that immune system, right? And even loneliness. So loneliness predicts pain, depression, and fatigue, understanding the role of the immune dysregulation in that, right? Again, we're not just making this up. So what can we do as parents? Foster a good relationship at home, encourage sharing feelings and listening, okay? This can be hard, especially with our teenagers and things like that. But again, doing your best that you can, and again, a lot of you are maybe grandparents. Maybe you're the one that they can go to and open up a little bit more with. Okay, so encourage that have them be able to open up and say, hey, what's going on? What are you feeling? How can I help? Right? Encourage strong and supportive friendships. Right? I've seen a lot of friendships and things like that where I know it's a toxic one, and I've had parents cut that off, right? And the kid might be upset, but they know in the long run that that's the best thing for their kid. And eventually they kind of get over it. But sometimes you can see those toxic friendships or even relationships, right? Create opportunities to socialize. So don't let your kid sit in his bedroom and only play video games all day, right? Make them get out, make them be social. Texting, playing video games together isn't being social, okay? So we are social beings. We got to get outside. Create opportunities for rest, right? So making sure that they do have downtime, making sure they're getting adequate sleep, schedule regular adjustments, right? And we talked about the diet. So one big thing too, especially as we're getting sick, there's so much controversy around a fever. Let's say you get the flu, let's say you get a cold, let's say you get something like that. The flu does not create the fever. Your body creates the fever, okay? That's your body's natural response. Viruses, bacteria, and different things like that are very sensitive to the environment that they're going into. A lot of them are temperature regulated. So if a virus gets in the body, your body is going to say, I'm going to raise the temperature and make it an inhospitable environment for that virus so that the virus dies or wants to leave. That's a normal thing. That's a healthy response. Okay. A fever is a healthy response to your child or to you being exposed to a virus, to a bacteria, something like that. Okay. So honestly, the last thing you want to do is try to suppress it. That's a normal, healthy response. If you try to suppress it, you're only going to exacerbate that issue, make you or that kid sicker for longer because now the body's not actively killing it off because that's what the temperature does. So let your food be the medicine. Bone broth, chicken soup, watermelon, berry eggs, you can naturally cool the body, cool washcloths, cool showers behind the neck, elbow, knees, touching them as long as they're feeling that, but it releases oxytocin, which is their good, feeling good hormones, getting adjusted majorly. I've literally had kids have fevers, adjust them, and before they leave the office, the fever's gone. Okay, I've literally seen it before my eyes right there and making sure that we're staying hydrated. But do everything that you can to let the body do its thing. The body is creating the fever. The body won't hurt itself. Okay, it would never be like, I'm going to create such a big fever that I'm going to damage the brain, right? It's going to survive, right? It has a survival mode, but it's trying to kill that virus. So what can you do? Okay. So this is the Healthy Habits Kit. I think this is a great place to start. It can cover a lot of bases with what's going on with some of your kids and different scenarios and different things like that. But again, at the base of just being healthy as a whole, I think the VMG Plus is going to be good. The VMG Plus tastes good. They can just mix it with the water. It can be their morning, I'll say, juice kind of thing, right? Kids can take it. The PB Restore, great for the gut. It's that probiotic, going to be amazing to help the gut, help with the immune system in there. The fish oils are going to be amazing as well, help with brain health, help with the joints, help with the gut as well. If there's digestive problems, Terrazyme, making sure they're getting all their food, vitamins, minerals, all these different things. If they're playing sports, Deep Blue Rub can really help with sore muscles, help with comfort. And we got some different essential oils. I think On Guard is going to be the star of this whole talk, right? Diffusing On Guard. I think we diffuse On Guard like, I think every day this time of year. That's basically the only thing that gets diffused in our house and especially our office. It's just On Guard, On Guard, On Guard. So I stockpile it throughout the year, and then we use a bunch of it this time of year. So On Guard is amazing to help with the immune system, help with cleaning, things like that. Lavender is very calming to the brain, calming to the body. So diffusing that can really help calm kids down. Again, applying it even topically with a roller. Balance as well is a very, right, the grounding blend. So those two together can help with that. Frankincense, very anti-inflammatory, which is in turn going to be good for that immune system, everything like that. Lemon is great, help with digestion and such, right? Again, our digestive tract is a big part of our immune system. So again, this is really has a well-rounded balance to help with some of these different kids. If the kids are smaller and they can't take like the PB Restore, they can't take the fish oil capsule and things like that, do your best. I've literally had kids chew these. I'm not saying I would recommend that for everybody, but if they're willing to, go ahead, chew them. Might not taste the best. I think there's some orange in here, right? I haven't tried it, but I think there's some orange essential oil, so it's not going to taste terrible. It's not just going to be straight fish. There's a little bit of an orange in there, so that definitely helps. But the PB Restore is hard because it's a dual capsulated, so you don't really want to try taking that apart. You love chewing yours. There you go, right? I haven't personally tried it. I just swallow it, but right. So yeah, you can't taste the fish at all, right? Which means it's a really good quality. So that's perfect. The probiotics, if they can't take it, definitely a little bit harder because it's this dual encapsulated. But that's where the PB Assist Plus comes in. So I call them like the little pixie sticks. Kids love that. I literally, if like we're trying something, they're like, what can I give my kid? We have a box, just a tester box out in our office, say, here, try one of these. And it's usually hard to only let the kids have one. Most of my parents say. They're like, oh, can we have our pixie stick? And they'll down them and they'll want more. It's like, no, 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 it's one a day kind of thing. So those are going to be the next best. Okay. And then we have our kids collection. I love this collection. We use it on our son. And again, what's nice is that it's something that you can easily, it has a nice little carrying bag. It's all color coded. It makes sense, right? And it's super simple for even a kid to understand, right? The thinker, if you want to help your brain calm, right? Rescue, so helping with the immune system, making you stronger, again, immune system, braver, right? So whatever they're feeling, tummy tamer, right? So it's literally designed to help with the kids, and it has this nice little carrying case you can slip right in their backpack. But just teaching them, right? Putting it right along the neck, right on either side of the neck, putting it on the inside of their wrists with that can help. If they can, putting some of it on the bottom of their foot, that can help. But again, right, really great collection that in case of emergency, okay, tummy tamer they need. Okay, if they need a little boost of energy, they have a couple options, right? Those different things like that. So this is great for those kids, and it's on sale right now. So it even comes with flashcards in case they need it. Shinrin Yoku, I think by far my favorite, I would have to say. I think I looked the other day, I think I have like 15 still unopened bottles. And this is, I use it every day, but that's just like, okay, my recurring order doesn't matter. There's a Shinrin on there, right? There's always a Shinrin on there. So, I mean, one of my favorite, really relaxing, really calming to the body, a grounding blend. So grounding helps support your immune system, helps get it strong, helps support clear breathing. They can take it too. You can put a drop in your hands, rub it, breathe it in. You can literally just feel your body calm, relax, everything like that. So this is amazing. By far one of my favorites. Something else you can do, especially if you have littler ones, um, I should have put an on guard on here, but bath time is going to be great. Apple cider vinegar, a little bit of apple cider vinegar in your bath is going to be amazing. Help, especially if they're sick or anything like that. Epsom salt as well. Don't hesitate to put a couple drops of like on guard in there too. But bath time can be beneficial if we're adding a little bit of these extra remedies and things like that in there as well. And then I would say, especially if your kid is going out to play or going out with friends, staying after school, doing something like that, or this could be something that they just bring to school. This is a kit that they have too. So again, On Guard spray, right? Spray it on your hands like a natural hand sanitizer that's not toxic. Terra Shield if there's bugs out on the playground, things like that. Again, deep blue rub if there's sore muscles, some sunscreen. Peppermint beadlets can help if they do have an upset stomach or they're anxious or something like that. They can take those beadlets. Again, lavender is very calming as well. So putting some lavender on the neck, inside of the wrists, can help if they have a test coming up and they're anxious about it and things like that. If they do get a cut or a scrape, there's some of this. And again, teachers have little first aid kits, but it's not going to be the good stuff, right? It's not going to be the good. It's going to be the Neosporin, which again, better. I'd rather you use that than get a bad infection or something like that. But again, this is the better stuff, right? And okay, the hand sanitizer, well, instead of using the soap and all the nasty chemicals, let's a little bit of On Guard on our hands, right? Instead of using the bug spray that they give us, we have some tear shields. So this is something, again, super easy that you can just put in the bottom of their backpack. If they need it, they have it. If they don't, awesome, right? So many different good things that you can just send with them. And again, letting them know, right? Teaching them about these different things, teaching them why we're picking these things over some of the other ones too, can be beneficial so that they know, right? So again, I think the big picture is, how full is our bucket? How full is our kids' bucket? What are we doing to empty the bucket? What are we removing from their life that is filling the bucket? But also, what can we add in to help drain it as well, right? There's things that are not within our control, right? So that's where I always say there's things that aren't in our control. You can't control the test that you have next week. Everybody's different. They're going to have some stress. They might have some anxiety about it. Maybe it's the math test and they're not good at math, right? That's out of our control. You do the best you can. You study. You come in as prepared as you can, but that doesn't take away the stress, right? So addressing the things that are within our control, that's the biggest thing, right? What is within our control? Well, the food that we give the kids at home and packing a lunch, right? Those are the big things that are within our control. The toxins and different things that they're exposed to at home, also within our control, right? Swapping out our good products, things that we send with them to school so that they're not exposed to the other things that maybe be potentially at school, right? As far as toxins and whatnot, making sure they understand posture, making sure they understand the importance of their backpack and wearing it properly, right? Teaching them about posture, calling them out on their phones, calling them out on their laptops and those different things. I do it all the time, and they know they're like, yeah, okay, and they sit up nice and straight. They know they just have to be reminded. Okay, I literally have to remind people on a daily basis that water is important. How much water are you drinking? How much water have you drank today? Ooh, like none. I'm like, well, we probably need some water, right? Sometimes we just need to be reminded of these things. And that's okay. That is okay. So again, just what are we doing to empty that bucket? That's the biggest question. And I just want to say thank you guys for taking time out of your night tonight. I hope you learned something. I hope you got some tools to be able to help with your grandkids, help with your kids. Let's make it a good, healthy year. We're all going back to school. Again, I think last year was one of the worst years for sickness that I saw. But the kids that I see regularly at my office were the ones that didn't get sick, were the ones that cruised right through, were good to go. When they followed my recommendations, they were good. They were the ones that stood out from the others. Okay. And again, it can be simple. Just, okay, let's get adjusted, take a couple of our supplements. Let's take care of ourselves, try to get some good sleep. So if you have any questions, you want some guidance on some different things, you're interested, you're saying, okay, well, maybe my kid is dealing with ADD, ADHD, eczema, something like that, we can help. And that's from anywhere. Okay. If you're in Texas, I can help. If you're in California, I can help. Okay. We can do a phone consult. If we are looking at testing, we can ship testing right to you, help you find different things. I can make that happen. Okay. And I can help guide you with, okay, well, I'm not exactly sure what they need as far as supplements or what's the best place to start, or they have X, Y, and Z going on. What would you recommend? Right. That's where I can come in and say, hey, based on this is what I would do. Okay, so that's our phone number. Go to the clinic. There's our website there, email, however you want to follow us. You can follow us on all the different social media platforms. Um, but I'm here to help. Okay, I'm here to help. And what I'll say too, just one last little thing is I know some of you, there are some other wellness ways and things like that. One thing we've been running into, and I'll just say it as it is. Some people have been going to other wellness way clinics, and again, they're my colleagues. I know a lot of them personally, but None of them really have dove into doTERRA products, don't know them very well, and so they don't really know how to guide, okay? Most of them, what I'm hearing is they go to these clinics, they tell them to stop taking everything and just take other products, okay? I'm here to help you navigate that, right? Okay, you're taking X, Y, and Z. Awesome. Let's add in A, B, and C if we need to. Or, well, I see maybe A is not necessary right now. Maybe we need to prioritize some of these other things, right? Or here's where we need to fill in the gaps. Okay, so I can help with that stuff, and that's what I'm here for. So just let me know if you have questions. Don't hesitate to reach out, but we're here to help.
I think you have another slide, Dr. Shane.
I have another slide.
Yep, one more. An important one.
My my offer slide.
Yep.
Well, you see, I technically hit it. I wasn't going to do an offer, but we'll do an offer.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. So I guess what I'll say is typically, I would say if you guys call, we can talk about it. But typically our new patient appointment is $99. So if you want to sit down, and that's where we gather as much information. So whatever may be going on with you, with the kid, anything like that, we do a full health history. So we go through all the health history, what's going on. We even have a big long questionnaire. If you have any previous testing or anything like that, we'll go through it. And then from there, we'll make a plan of attack. So it is $99, okay, to get started, and then we go from there. So